Hi, parents. This is Miss Ariel, the speech therapist at San Antonio Elementary. We continue to be in such an unusual time. I hope you're finding ways to relax and dealing with the new stresses that every day brings. I want to encourage you and let you know that this is just an extra video to support you. And if you don't feel like you can handle learning new strategies about speech or language right now, that's okay. If all you can manage to do is make sure everyone is fed and has their hands washed, that's enough right now. Whatever you can manage, that's enough. But if you do feel like you can manage some training on speech and language strategies, feel free to keep watching. Today I want to start talking about the different roles that parents take on in their kids' lives. So none of these roles are bad. There are times when we have to be each one of these things to keep everything going, but some of these roles can encourage language more than other roles. So the first role I want to introduce is the helper. And this is a person maybe who wants to do all of the work for the child. This person is very caring and very helpful, very loving to their child, but they may end up doing too much, right? This person might not give the child a chance to do things on their own. And by doing this, we might not give the child a chance to learn by doing it themselves, okay? Now, this is an important role. You need to be able to help your child with all the things they cannot do. But it's important to balance when you're the helper and knowing when you can step back and let the child learn for themselves. The second role I wanted to talk about is the mover. And this person might be very busy, trying to get everything done quickly. Again, this is important, right? We all need to be the mover sometimes. But if we're being the mover all the time, we might be talking at our child instead of talking with our child or talking to our child, right? You might need to be the mover to get out of the house on time, or really stay in the house right now, but to get breakfast done or whatever it is that you need to move through more quickly. But if we want to focus on language growth, it's not as helpful to be the mover, right? And then the third role is the teacher. And this is similar to the helper. And maybe if you're the teacher, you want to tell your kids and make sure they know letters, numbers, colors, shapes, right? Because that's what kids have to learn. And these things are important, and you do have to be the teacher to help your child grow. But if you're always the teacher, you're probably the one talking, drilling, asking, what's this? What's this? What's this? Right? Instead of letting your child learn by doing and sort of opening up more of a conversational back and forth. And then the final role is the responsive partner. And this is when you give your child a chance to communicate and learn things on their own, and you're doing things alongside them, right? You're encouraging them to do things with you. You're following their lead about what they want to talk about or what they want to play with, and this can be more ideal for language growth. So how do you do it, right? How do you be the responsive partner? And so there are three words that speech therapists associate with this role. I want to introduce the concept of OWL, which stands for observe, wait, and listen. So how do I observe, right? What do I observe? Observe the child's focus of attention. Look at what they're looking at, right? Observe their facial expression. Observe their body language and their gestures, right? Are they moving more or are they moving less? And what does it mean for them to be moving more? Do they seem like they like something when they're moving more or when they're moving less? I don't know, right? It's something to learn and we have to figure out, right? Observe their eye gaze, right? Where are they looking? Observe their sounds. Observe their words. Do they connect to anything in the environment, right? Does that sound, if they say da 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 da, does that mean maybe they're talking about a dog or the door, right? And maybe they're not, but maybe that's something you can bring in and say, oh, door, right? And see if you can, even if they aren't making the connections exactly right then, you can make connections for them, right? Because you're observing their sounds and you're listening. And then to observe best, I always recommend being face to face. And if you can, be at the child's level. And then we have the second one, which is wait, right? This one is actually really hard for me. You pause, right? You don't have to fill all the silence. I mean, as a speech therapist, I want to fill the silence. That's sort of is hard for me, but it's important to wait, right? You don't need to take over. You don't need to ask too many questions. For myself, I often pause and I count inside my head for 5 to 10 seconds, literally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually at 5, I'm usually kind of at the point where I'm like, and I push myself. 6, 7, 8. So I'll ask a question and then I'll count, right? And then I use my facial expression to show that I'm waiting for an answer as I'm counting in my head, right? So I say, what's happening here? Right? And I'm counting in my head, but I'm also using my face to say, it's your turn to talk, right? I'm waiting for you. And then the last one is listen, right? Try to give your undivided attention. And this is so hard. There are a million distractions right now. But I recommend that if you can, put your phone away, right? Turn off distractions like a television or an iPad and see if you can just listen this week. In future weeks, I'm going to hopefully give you more information about how to use your own language to help the child grow their language. But this week, the lesson is do a lot of listening if you can. So that's all for this week. Take care of yourself, and thank you for watching.